Ever scroll through like the comments on a news article and you're just like, how how is that even possible? Like, how did they get there?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
absolutely.
it's like we're all working from a different set of facts sometimes.
Yeah.
And, that's something that I think we all kind of grapple with on a daily basis, right? But today, we're going to take a deep dive into the very process of how we form beliefs.
Yes.
And trust me, this isn't just some like theoretical mumbo jumbo. This is
Uh-huh.
going to be a really fascinating look into ourselves and maybe, hopefully, help us navigate this world around us.
Absolutely. And to really kick things off, we're diving into this excerpt from Wikiversity's Forming Beliefs page. What's really interesting about this source is that it doesn't just define belief, it goes beyond that. It's not just about whether something is true or false, it's about how that belief shapes what you do, how it shapes your decisions, your actions.
I like it. I like it. So it's less about the belief itself and more about its impact on us and how we operate.
Exactly.
Okay. So how does this source then break down like the mechanics of how we form these beliefs?
So they use this really cool diagram, and
Uh,
obviously you can't see it, but we'll paint a picture with words.
yes, please.
So imagine like a graph, right?
Okay, got it.
On one side you have likelihood, so how probable something seems to you.
Mm-hmm.
On the other axis you have evidence. So this is like how much you actually know, like cold hard facts.
I'm with you.
Okay.
The likelihood, one side, evidence, the other.
Exactly.
Got it. So it's how those two things kind of play together.
Yes, exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Sure.
They argue that there's this ideal path. They call it the blue path
Okay.
for forming authentic beliefs.
Okay.
So instead of jumping from an idea to like a cemented opinion.
Right. Which, let's be honest, I think we've all been guilty of at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This path says pump the brakes.
Okay.
Start with genuine curiosity,
Okay.
then actively seek out evidence,
Mm-hmm.
weigh it,
Yeah.
and then form your opinion.
Oh, wow.
It's like you're building a house on solid ground, not on sinking sand.
Right, right. It's not just like that knee-jerk reaction that you're going on. You're actually taking the time to think about it.
Yes.
Okay, so instead of clinging to that first impression, we should be asking, what evidence is out there? What am I missing? That's a pretty big shift in thinking.
Absolutely. And it is a big shift.
Yeah.
And of course, they acknowledge that it's not always that clean cut.
Right.
And that's where those like red zones on the diagram come in.
Oh, yes, the red zones. Those don't sound good. What happens there?
So think of it like this. One red zone is all about skepticism without investigation.
Yep.
It's like saying, nope, don't believe it, without even bothering to look at the facts.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's that friend, we all have that friend,
Yes.
who refuses to try a new restaurant because they just know they won't like it.
Oh, I know that friend.
Yeah.
Yes. Or the person who refuses to believe in climate change.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the other red zone.
What?
This is where you're clinging to beliefs, even when the evidence is like waving its hands in your face saying, nope, not quite,
Oh.
Yeah. And this is where you might fall into like those confirmation bias traps,
Right.
where you're only seeking out information that already supports what you think
Yes.
and dismissing anything that challenges you.
Oh, so one side is refusing to even look at the evidence, and the other is cherry-picking the evidence to fit their narrative.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, I think we've all probably been in one of those red zones
Oh, absolutely.
at some point or another. But how do we catch ourselves doing that?
Right.
What are some real-life examples of these pitfalls?
So they give this really interesting example of the belief in life after death.
Okay.
And they even say, it's this belief that has limited direct evidence.
Right, because we can't, take a poll.
Exactly.
Right.
And it kind of highlights how we can be really committed to these beliefs that maybe fall outside of the realm of like readily available evidence.
Yeah.
And it leads to another point they make about kind of the difference between our professed beliefs.
Okay.
So what we say we believe and our actual behaviors.
Oh, hold on. I want to unpack that because that's a big one.
Yes, it is.
But I think we need to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. So before the break, we were talking about this whole idea of like our professed beliefs and then like what we actually do. And, sometimes those don't always match up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, you say one thing and then you do something else entirely.
Right. And they use this phrase, it's like professed beliefs versus actual beliefs.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. So it's one thing to say, oh, I believe in honesty. right?
Right.
But it's another thing to like actually be honest in all your interactions.
It's like that friend who's always like, oh, there's so much drama, but they're always like right in the middle of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%, yeah. Or someone who's like, oh, I'm like super health conscious, but then it's like burgers and fries every meal.
Every time. Yeah. And it's like, and it's not even just like those kind of surface level things, right? This dissonance between our words and actions. I mean, it can happen in any area of life. Like even the source uses the example of like romantic relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like
Yeah.
you start out and you're head over heels, like, this is it. This is the
Yeah,
one.
the honeymoon phase.
Right. And then like sometimes things don't always end in that like fairy tale way.
Right, right. It's not always happily ever after, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So like how does that belief like shift happen? Because we start out and we're so sure.
Well, remember that diagram we talked about with like the likelihood
Yes.
and the evidence? So, in those early stages of like love and infatuation, we're kind of filtering everything through like rose-colored glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
100%.
So the evidence that we're seeing, it supports that belief of, oh, I'm totally in love.
Yeah.
Even if there might be some like red flags waving around.
Yeah, yeah. You're just kind of like, oh, it'll be fine.
Exactly. You're overlooking them. But then as the relationship goes on, right, those initial feelings might start to fade.
Right.
And then like contradictory evidence starts piling up. Maybe your values don't actually align.
Right.
Maybe, you want different things in life.
Yeah.
And this is where the rubber meets the road in terms of like our beliefs.
Like you're being faced, you know? It's like, okay, do I hold on to this initial feeling even though it's not really serving me? Or do I kind of adjust based on what I'm seeing now?
Exactly. Exactly. And it's not just romantic relationships either, right?
Right. Yeah.
This applies to like any belief where we might be holding on to an outdated script.
100%.
Maybe it's a career path. Maybe it's a friendship that's, run its course.
Oh, totally.
Oh.
Or even like, I was thinking, like a band that you were like obsessed with in high school, and now you're kind of like,
Yes,
it
exactly.
doesn't hit the same.
Right. Your tastes change, you evolve, and our beliefs should too.
Our beliefs should too. I like that. And that's what I think is so cool about this whole conversation is it's not about like judging those beliefs as right or wrong,
Yeah.
but it's more about understanding how those beliefs were formed in the first place.
100%. Yeah. It's about bringing that self-awareness to
Yes.
how you think.
Okay, I like that. It's funny. This whole thing kind of makes me think about like online arguments,
Oh, yeah.
where people are just going back and forth and it's like they're never going to agree.
Right.
And maybe it's not even about like convincing the other person,
Right.
but just recognizing that like we're coming from completely different points on that belief map.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just speaks to how important this is. It's not just about what we believe, but like you said, how did we get there? How did we get to that belief in the first place?
Yeah, and like once you start thinking that way, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Instead of being like you're wrong, it's more like, okay, what led you to that? What evidence are you like prioritizing?
Exactly.
And what am I maybe missing that you're seeing?
It's about shifting from like a battle of opinions
Right?
to like a place of curiosity.
Yes. Yes.
100%.
Doesn't mean we have to agree with everyone, but
Right.
it just opens the door for like better conversation.
Right, exactly. And it just makes it less like heated.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes it more insightful, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is like in this day and age, that's what we need more of, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like everyone's always yelling their opinions.
Yes.
But like if we can examine them a little bit more closely.
Right.
Yeah, that's where like the real value is in this whole conversation.
Absolutely.
It's less about like the specifics and more about just like arming yourself with the tools
Right.
to be like a more mindful thinker.
100%. 100%.
Okay, so I think like the big takeaway here is like this isn't a one-time thing.
Right.
Like this is a lifelong journey.
Absolutely. Understanding how we form our beliefs is something that we're always doing.
Yes, yes. I love that. So, to our listener out there, the next time that you find yourself, face to face with like a strong opinion or like a wait, what?
Yeah.
Moment.
Yeah.
Think about that diagram.
Yes.
Think about that blue path. Think about those red zones.
Yeah, for sure.
And ask yourself, like, am I being curious right now?
Yeah.
Am I like open to new information, even if it challenges, what I think?
That's a great question to ask yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
because I think it can change how you like approach these conversations.
100%.
Yeah, so just kind of parting thought, think about like a one belief that you like really hold strong. You got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now imagine someone's like presenting all this evidence against it. Like, how do you react?
Right.
Because that, I think, will tell you a lot about where you are on that journey.
Absolutely.
And on that note, this has been a fascinating deep dive. I hope you learned something. I know I did.
Huh.
Until next time.